Good morning, everybody. This is Dimitri Lascaris coming to you from Montreal, Canada for Reason to Resist on November 17th, 2025. Today is an historic day, I would say, for the Palestinian cause in Canada, and particularly in its largest city, Toronto. For the very first time, Toronto City Hall will be raising the flag of Palestine. At the City Hall, people have gathered there. We're speaking today with two colleagues, comrades, real warriors for the Palestinian cause in Canada who are at Toronto City Hall. First one is James Yap, an international human rights lawyer whom I've known for many years. And we were also joined, we may have lost him, by Associate Professor Faisal Baba of Osgoode Hall Law School at York University in Toronto. And he is a director of the Legal Center for Palestine. I don't know what happened to Professor Baba. We seem to have been disconnected.
Oh, he's gone.
Yeah, but in any event, we do have James. So, James, thank you very much for speaking to us today.
Thank you for having me, Dimitri. It's a pleasure, as always.
So, James, why don't you just kind of describe the scene for us out there? And maybe if you could show us with your camera what's going on. Give us
yeah, sure, I'll try. Yeah, as you can see, there's we're at Toronto City Hall. There's the sort of like iconic building that's been in a few movies, and then there's a crowd of people here, many waving Palestinian and some other flags, in front of the flagpole that's right there. I don't know if you can see it. It's right next to the Christmas tree and the building. And then I guess, yeah, there's a few police hanging around, just watching, not doing too much right now. And there's a handful of counter protesters on the other side over there. I'll try and walk towards them so you can see them. There's not very many. I don't know if you can see like a couple like Israeli flags.
So far,
Yeah.
I can't make out the flags. How far are they away from you?
Can you see them? I'm pretty close to them.
I see some police officers there.
Yeah, so there's some police officers. There's a line of police officers, and then there's a handful of counter protesters on the other side of the police officers. And then there's various people like who try and run through the crowd here and again, chanting anti-Palestinian slogans and such, and they quickly get ushered away from the main crowd. So yeah, that's I think that pretty much sums it up.
Right. So are they about to raise the flag? Do you know what time they've set for the flag raising?
Well, Faisal, and you see there's a rather vocal counter protester over there, which happens from time to time, talking about how he only cares about Canada. And then we've got some security officials walking towards him just to break it up a little bit. They've got fire uniforms actually. Anyway, it's supposed to apparently, I was told by Faisal that it was scheduled for 10, the flag raising. There was some hearing going on in court earlier that I don't have too much information on, but apparently there were some organizations that were trying to stop this flag raising, and I'm not sure. I haven't heard. I'm not in contact with anyone who's in the courtroom, so I'm not really sure what the status of that is.
Yeah. I actually observed that hearing online this morning. So
okay, great.
I'm going to be talking about that separately.
Okay, sure.
Or we'll have talked about it by the time we get to your discussion today. Where are you? How far are you from the actual flagpole, James?
And you just hear a cheer as like someone on the platform is waving a Palestinian flag. So a crowd went cheer went up from the crowd. How far am
Right.
I? Let's say about 50 yards
Can
from
you
the.
can you just show us the flagpole?
Yeah, sure. Can you see it there? It's you see. Do you see the little? Okay, so there's the building, and there's a little
Yeah.
platform beside it, and you may not be able to see on this camera, but there's a flagpole there. Um,
Yeah. It's hard to
and
see.
yeah, so well, you see the people standing on the railing, right, on the ledge.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so the people are standing next to a flagpole. Basically, it's not a very thick flagpole,
Yeah.
so
Can you
um,
go
it probably
up
doesn't
there?
tilt. Yeah, I probably can.
That'd be great if you.
Um, yeah, sure.
So, well, James, why don't you, if you don't mind, tell us about just what's your overall feeling about this in terms of its significance for Palestinians and for the movement?
Um, and yeah, I'm not actually, as it turns out, uh, able to go up there. It
Okay.
looks like the ramp is blocked off. So if we ever, I think Faisal is there though potentially. So if
Yeah.
yeah,
Let's keep it there.
if we connect back with him, then maybe he can show
Okay.
us what it's like up there. I mean, I can't. The significance for Palestinians and for the movement, I obviously can't speak for Palestinians. But as for myself, uh, I can, as someone who's part of the movement, um, I guess I just came out today. I didn't have anything to do. I'm not speaking or anything. I'm not like in court or doing any official work. But I just came out today because it is a pretty, to me, like a pretty significant occasion to see the flag of Palestine raised. Um, at a government building. I guess something we wouldn't have seen, or even like imagined like a few years ago.
Mhm.
And I think it's just a sign of the rapidly shifting public opinion on the issue that now politicians, despite fierce opposition, I might add, uh, now feel that they can do things like this. This isn't the first um, city in Holland, Canada, uh, might I add, that this has happened, right? This happened in Calgary last week, right? So again, it's just I guess, encouraging symbol of the shifting public opinion,
Mhm.
both domestically and abroad, all over the world. That's very heartening to see. So I just wanted to be here for this moment. That's
Yeah. Yeah.
that's that's how
Could
I
you
feel
tell
about
us
that. Yeah.
could you tell our audience a little bit just about something about the work you've done as an international human rights lawyer in connection with Palestinian human rights?
Yeah. So I'm a lawyer based in Toronto, and together with my colleague Barbara Jackman, who is you know, one of Canada's most well-respected international human rights lawyers. Um, I'm representing the Palestinian organization Al Haq and a coalition of Canadian and Palestinian uh, individuals and NGOs in a legal challenge in Canadian courts to Canadian arms exports to Israel. And at the same time as we've been fighting the case in Canadian courts, which is ongoing, uh, we've also been taking Canada to various UN bodies. So we got to the UN Committee on the Elimination of Discrimination Against Women, the UN Committee on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, and the UN Committee on the Elimination of Racial Discrimination, um, to file petitions to these committees against continuing arms exports to Israel. And each committee has come out strongly condemning Canada and urging Canada to stop continuing arms exports to Israel in violation of international human rights. Uh, as you may have heard, also I was at I was at the Palestine Canada Tribunal over the weekend,
Mhm.
where, as you may have heard, Richard Falk, on his 95th birthday, was detained by CBSA officials for 4 hours
Just
at
so
Pearson
people
Airport.
know, just so people know, CBSA is the Canadian Border Security Agency, right? So, can
Yeah.
you tell what do you
You
know
can
about
also
what
refer to them as
happened?
ICE North, if
Correct.
that's easier.
Well put. Ice North, yes. So,
Mhm.
what can you tell us about what happened there? I've read a report that they pretty much all the questions they asked Professor Falk were about Palestine. What do you know about what happened there?
Yeah, well, also for those who don't know, Richard Falk is eminent um, uh, Princeton professor of international law and former UN Special Rapporteur for Palestine. The, on his 95th birthday, they stopped him for 4 hours, and um, I I went to meet him at the airport. He was very tired, so I didn't really ask him very many questions. But he and his wife said that they asked him about uh, his views on the Palestinian right of resistance, and they told him that they had stopped him for reasons of national security. This is a 95-year-old man. He came out in a wheelchair. He needed wheelchair assistance to come out, and they detained him on literally grounds of, quote, national security.
Right. And I understand his wife was with him, and she's also an eminent human rights lawyer.
Hmm.
Her name is Hilal Elver.
Yes.
Do you know much about her background? And did she talk to you about what happened?
Again, when they came out, they were very tired. So I didn't want to press them. It was his 95th birthday after all,
Right.
right?
Right.
And it was something like it was close to midnight when they came out, Dimitri. Um, but yeah,
And when
like
you,
all they said was that they got asked about the right of resistance, and that when they asked the CBSA official why they were being stopped, they said they said national security.
right.
Yeah.
And can you tell us about, were you actually at the Palestine Tribunal?
Yeah. Yes, I was. Yeah.
Could you tell us about what happened there?
But yeah, the Palestine Tribunal was 2 days of witnesses from Palestine and elsewhere talking about the what they've both like what is happening on the ground in Gaza, as well as certain aspects of Canada's complicity. Um, I, along with your colleague Shane Martinez, said a few words about military relationships, so arms exports, as well as IOF soldiers being allowed to visit Canada and speak. You had people talking about connections through charities, for instance, that support the IDF, um, about universities, about the media, and that those angles of complicity. Um, it was supposed to take place at the University of Ottawa, but at the last minute, the University of Ottawa canceled the venue. And so, with the help of a, um, a sympathetic senator, Senator Yen Pao Wu, we were actually able, at the very last minute, to shift the venue um, to the Senate building. Um, but yeah, the very last minute, a number of speakers had trouble entering the country. The venue was canceled, so there was clearly a concerted attempt to try and repress this event, which is part of why, coming back today, which is part of what makes this event so significant.
Right. Now, the Canadian government, James, would have us believe that there's a ceasefire in effect in the Gaza Strip. What is your view of that? And what is your overall view of the attitude of the Carney government towards the genocide in Gaza?
So again, I'm not on the ground but from everything I've heard, there's a ceasefire in name only. Um, and as we heard at the tribunal, um, in various aspects, in terms of continuing arms exports to Israel, in terms of not allowing refugees from Gaza to to get access to Canada in the same way Ukrainian refugees were welcomed into Canada. We heard reports at the tribunal about people in Gaza relying on Canadian representations that they would allow refugees from Gaza to come to Canada. And you heard stories of people going back to their houses, the rubble, to try and find their identification cards that the government had asked for. People staying behind in Gaza rather than evacuating because of a false hope that the Canadian government had created about being able potentially to enter Canada, and they had told people you can only apply from inside Gaza. Um, so, in any number of aspects, I think the response of the um, Canadian governmental institutions has been shameful. Um,
Right.
uh, that said, like I know that the Canadian government is responsive to Canadian public pressure. Um, and the few measures that it has taken have been in response to intense public pressure. So, again, coming back to today, that's why even though this is just a municipal government, um, the raising of the flag at City Hall has a great deal of symbolic significance because, um, as you know. Our mayor of Toronto, Olivia Chow, uh, has not always been um, um, uh, extremely sympathetic with the pro-Palestinian movement. Among other things, I remember she called some of the rallies. Um, Shortly after October 7th, a lot of the rallies in solidarity with Gaza, she called them pro-terror or pro-Hamas rallies. Um, and then she also supported the recent bubble bylaw in Toronto that was aimed targeted at suppressing the ability of protesters to demonstrate in front of places where there had been speakers or events promoting the occupation or the apartheid or the apartheid regime. So again, this is what's happened today, even though it's merely symbolic to me, speaks to the growing power of the movement.
Yes, I completely agree that Mayor Olivia Chow, who I don't, you might not have mentioned this, and not everybody would necessarily know that she was a stalwart in the New Democratic Party federally, which is supposed to be a social democratic party, a left-leaning party. And people on the right would even go so far as to say that the NDP is far left, which I find laughable. But in any case, despite the fact that she was a stalwart of this party and the grassroots of that party is strongly supportive of the Palestinian cause, up until very recently, as you said, James, no objective observer would have viewed her as being a real friend of the Palestinian people. So I was very surprised to hear that the Toronto City Hall was going to raise the Palestinian flag precisely because of that. And she also, I think, very recently, for the very first time, said that Israel is committing genocide. Isn't that right?
Mhm. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
right. That's right.
Yeah.
She came out at a fundraiser for, I think it was the National Canadian Council of Canadian Muslims. Um, and Olivia Chow, she has progressive sympathies, but she's a politician like any other. She's sensitive to public pressure. Um, and that statement, it didn't just kind of come out on the podium. It was sort of like carefully planned and discussed beforehand. And she made the conscious decision that it was, I guess, safe, so to speak, for her to do so at the time. And now she's quickly, or quickly on the heels of that, come out and allowed the Palestinian flag to be raised at City Hall. And that is, again, purely as a result of public pressure.
Yes, indeed.
Mm.
And I'm just going to put up on the screen here so people can see the reaction of pro-Israel lobby groups to Mayor Chow's belated acknowledgement that Israel is committing genocide. This probably won't surprise any member of our audience, but this was her statement that Israel was committing genocide elicited howls of outrage from groups like the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs and B'nai B'rith Canada. And here you can see up on the screen an article from the Canadian Jewish News. This is dated November 4th, 2025. Jewish groups blast Toronto Mayor Olivia Chow's genocide in Gaza remarks. So these, and let's be very clear, these so-called Jewish groups represent part of the Jewish community. There is another part of the Jewish community that's represented by other groups that have been outspoken in condemning Israel's genocidal rampage in occupied Palestine. So, but the Canadian Jewish News has a tendency of, referring to pro-Israel groups as being representative of the Jewish community. To a degree they are, but to a degree they're not. In any case, it seems as though Olivia Chow has not backed down as a result of these rather sharp attacks. Is that correct, James? Is that also your understanding?
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's my understanding.
Yeah. Now, I noticed, however, that when she was asked about the raising of the Palestinian flag, she kind of distanced herself from the decision. I don't know if you're aware of this, but she said something along the lines of, other people in the city administration make that call. It's not my call. So she didn't seem particularly interested in associating herself with the flag raising, but at least she's not retracting her belated acknowledgement that Israel is committing genocide. So.
Yeah, and to be honest, she's probably right in that respect. The mayor of Toronto, it's not a position that has a whole lot of power, and she's probably right that it's other people who make that call. But you're right. Neither did she do anything to stand up for or defend that decision, or to denounce what's going on in Gaza. That's right. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't doubt. Yeah, and to be clear, I don't doubt that what she's saying, that she wasn't involved in the decision. But like you suggest, she could have supported it. She could have said, "I agree that they should be raising the Palestinian flag." She didn't seem particularly interested in doing that. In any case, how do you have any sense there, James, about when they're going to be raising the flag, or are you just standing by with all the people out there?
Honestly, I have no idea. For all I know, it could be like an hour, or it could be in 5 minutes, right?
Right.
Like, I'm looking up at the platform. It doesn't seem like anything that's happening is like any different from like 10 minutes ago. Like, there's no like kind of like bustle of activity all of a sudden or anything. But I don't know. I could try and see if I know anyone in this crowd who knows. Or honestly, Dimitri, maybe I think Faisal would have more information.
Right. Do you see Shane Martinez there anywhere, James?
Is he here?
He should be there.
Do you know what he's wearing? I guess you
I
wouldn't,
don't.
huh?
I don't. But I'll tell you what, James, why don't we do this? Why don't you have a look and see if you can find Shane or other people who might be willing to talk to us? But
Okay.
while we're waiting for the flag to raise, and you're out there just sort of rummaging around, seeing what you can see.
Yeah.
I'm gonna talk for a few minutes about this legal proceeding that happened this
Okay.
morning, result of it. But if you want to interrupt me at any moment because something important is happening, just let me know. Just speak up.
Okay. So you want me to stay on?
Yes, please do.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
All right. I'll look for Shane.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay.
So, just before we began this interview with James Yap, I was on a Zoom call observing a hearing that happened in the Ontario Superior Court of Justice in Toronto this morning. And the background of this hearing, it all related to this flag raising, is that a rabidly pro-Israel organization by the name of Tafsik, Tafsik, led by a character named Amir Epstein, brought an application late last week for an interlocutory injunction barring the city of Toronto from raising the Palestinian flag today. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that proceeding. So up here on the screen, you can see this is the application record filed last week with the court. You'll see that it's styled as an urgent notice of motion for interlocutory and injunctive relief to the defendants, and the core request is at the bottom of the page, an interim and permanent injunction. So they wanted the city to be permanently barred from raising the flag of the state of Palestine, which they put in quotation marks. The affidavit was supported by, the application was supported by an affidavit from this character, Amir Epstein, the executive director of Tafsik. And by the way, as far as I can tell, Tafsik is a very small organization. In fact, it might really be just a one-man operation. It certainly isn't, at least at this stage, one of the more influential and well-resourced pro-Israel lobby groups in Canada. You know, the Center for Israel and Jewish Affairs and B'nai B'rith Canada, Friends of Simon Wiesenthal Center, and others are all bigger, more staff, more money, and more influential in the discussion around Israel and Palestine. But this character has tried to make a name for himself by being particularly aggressive. And in fact, his organization refers to itself as Maccabee Warriors, and openly professes to be using lawfare, that's their word, in order to advance Israel's agenda. So I'm going to show you here an excerpt from his affidavit, which he filed in support of this application. And just by way of background, the request for the flag of Palestine to be raised was made by the International Center for Justice for Palestine, ICJP, and in Canada, ICJP. This is an international organization. I think its primary and founding branch is in the United Kingdom. And here in Canada, one of the wonderful lawyers who represents ICJP is Shane Martinez. And Shane is a Toronto-based criminal defense lawyer. He and I and 5 other lawyers are litigating a claim against the government of Canada for violating Article 1 of the Genocide Convention. And that article requires all signatories to the Genocide Convention, Canada is a signatory, to prevent and punish acts of genocide. And we say that Canada's policies in this litigation we brought on behalf of 2 Palestinian Canadians whose families have been almost entirely obliterated in the Gaza Strip. And one of them was in Gaza on October 7th and narrowly escaped Gaza with his life, despite the failure of the Canadian government to come to his aid. We are bringing this application seeking a declaration from the Ontario Superior Court of Justice that Canada is violating Article 1 of the Genocide Convention. And we filed that application, Shane, myself, and these 5 other wonderful lawyers, all of whom are working pro bono, in November of last year. And earlier this year, about 3 or 4 months after we filed the application, the Attorney General of Canada filed a motion to dismiss our action seeking this declaration that Canada is violating Article 1 of the Genocide Convention. And that motion is going to be argued in Ottawa on November 27th in the courthouse, the Ontario Superior Court of Justice courthouse in the capital of Canada. And all of the counsel are going to be there, I imagine, but for the plaintiffs. But the motion is going to be argued by Shane and by me. So that'll be October 27th for the full day in the Ottawa courthouse. Essentially, what the court is being told by the Attorney General of Canada is that this is a political question, the question of whether Canada is violating its obligations under Article 1 of the Genocide Convention, and the court is not really the right forum for the adjudication of that claim. It should be dealt with by the political arm of the government, by Parliament, by the executive branch. This doctrine, similar doctrine, was used to defeat a similar claim in the United States last year. In the United States, they call it the political question doctrine. And in Canada, they call it the doctrine of justiciability. So in any event, we're going to argue that motion on the 27th. But this is separate from the litigation that was commenced last week in the Toronto courthouse by Tafsik. So again, up here on the page is an excerpt from Amir Epstein's affidavit, sworn statement in support of the application. And you'll see there that in paragraph 8, he states, of further concern for the fact that the flag raising is a politically charged event is that the organization that requested the flag be raised and those that are affiliated therewith have been involved in anti-Semitic violence and protest. This is an absolute scurrilous lie. The organizations, there's no evidence, by the way, anywhere in his affidavit to support that allegation, a point which Shane made this morning to a judge who's hearing this application. I'm going to come back to that hearing in a moment. But, if you're going to accuse organizations of anti-Semitic violence and protest, and particularly in a sworn statement, you'd better have some evidence to back it up. And there's absolutely nothing in this affidavit to provide any support whatsoever for that outrageous claim. And then he goes on in paragraph 9, Epstein, and he says, those involved in the application to raise the flag have also been involved in the recent violent incident at Toronto Metropolitan University. Now, just by way of background, what he's referring to here is that on around November 5th, an Israeli soldier was feted by students from the Toronto Metropolitan University at an event which I think it was off campus, but it was very close to the campus. In any case, there was violence at that event, but the violence was not perpetrated by pro-Palestine protesters. On the other hand, it was actually perpetrated by this guy. Here's an article from the Grind, an online publication in Toronto. His character's name is Jonathan Carton, and you can see him there, bearing the uniform and the arms of the child-murdering Israeli military. And whether he himself was, involved in war crimes and crimes against humanity, I can't say. But as far as I'm concerned, anybody who serves in the Israeli military at a time when it is committing war crimes and crimes against humanity, if that person shouldn't be in jail, they certainly shouldn't be honored by anybody, let alone students at the Toronto Metropolitan University. Anyways, what actually happened at this event is that pro-Palestine students showed up, and there's lots of video about this, and they were just quietly chanting their support for Palestine, objecting to the presence of this character, Carton, and the fact that he was being honored by students, other students at TMU. And he became quite physical and ultimately ended roughing up some students who appear to be female. Now, I'm going to see if I can show you the video, if you just bear with me here for a second while I work this out.
Okay, Dimitri, people are cheering. I'm not sure why, but we'll go on again. Oh, there it goes.
I can make it out. Hopefully our audience can see it as well. It's a little bit small, but it's definitely up there. Has it gone all the way up the flagpole, James? Can you just show us a little more of the crowd, James? Can you show us a little more of the crowd? Can you show us a little more of the, there we go, yeah. That's fantastic, that really is. Thank you. Is it now all the way up the flagpole, James?
Oh, you can't see it? Yeah, it's all the way up.
Yeah, I can make it out a little bit, but it's I can't tell if it's at the very top. That's fantastic.
Yeah, so, it's all the way up. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, great moment. I'm very thankful that you were able to share, bring us into this moment from your location on the ground. And you know, we'll stay in touch. And I'd like to have you back on Reason to Resist at some point in the future in more civilized circumstances.
Absolutely, anytime, Dimitri. It's a pleasure as always.
Okay.
All right.
We can only see the top of your forehead. There you go. Okay.
All right. We'll sign off. Bye.
See you later. Bye-bye. Okay, so let's have a look at what actually happened at this event honoring this depraved Israeli soldier, Jonathan Carton.
You're not allowed to touch them! You're not allowed to touch them! I'm told!
You're moving.
You're not allowed!
Everyone's fucking moving.
Don't fucking touch me! That's what I say! Hey, don't push it! No! 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 You locked them in the room! You're not allowed to
So as you saw from that video, this corpulent psychopath, Jonathan Carton, was manhandling, roughing up young female students who were peacefully protesting his presence at this event. And so let us go back now, with you having seen that excerpt, that video, and revisit what Amir Epstein told the court in a sworn statement. Paragraph 9, those involved in the application to raise the flag have also been involved in the recent violent incident at Toronto Metropolitan University. Nowhere in the claim here, obviously, is that the violence was perpetrated by the Palestinian solidarity activists at that event. As you can see, that is absolutely nonsense. It was Carton who assaulted them, and Carton, frankly, should be charged criminally by the Toronto police. Whereas I believe the police have actually investigated, if not charged, the peaceful protesters. And this is par for the course at Toronto Metropolitan University. I'm actually involved in another case on behalf of 10 current and former law students at the university who in October 2023, as Israel had begun the slaughter of Palestinian civilians, signed a letter, it wasn't intended to be public, to the administration calling them out for not taking a sufficiently rigorous stand against the genocide in Palestine. The letter was leaked. Influential Zionist lawyers went absolutely ballistic. They became hysterical because of the commentary in this letter, which, amongst other things, questioned whether Israel was a real country. As I've said myself many times, and I stand by it 100%, Israel is a giant U.S. military base masquerading as a country. Anyways, that and the fact that these students in their letter talked about the right of Palestinians to resist their oppression sent the Zionist lawyers into a frenzy. The TMU, the administration of the law school and university, freaked out when they got attacked by Zionist lawyers, influential, affluent Zionist lawyers. And so they launched this internal investigation against the students. They hired a former Chief Justice of the Nova Scotia Court to preside over that investigation. I represented one of the students in that investigation, and he exonerated them at the end of the day and said that they had not done anything anti-Semitic. They had not done anything which merited academic penalty. They'd not violated the students' code of conduct. And despite this, the Toronto Metropolitan University continued to smear them. It left up on its website a statement which falsely accused the students of anti-Semitism. So now we have sued the university for $10 million on behalf of these students. As I say, I and the other 5 lawyers working on that, we're doing that pro bono as well. So this is sort of the sordid history of Toronto Metropolitan University when it comes to capitulating to the Zionist lobby. In any case, this sworn statement is full of crap, full of lies, and in my opinion, this is my legal opinion, the affiant in this case, Amir Epstein, should be investigated for perjury. These are just outright falsehoods, and there's no evidence to back them up because none exists. So in any case, this affidavit and the application were filed by Tafsik's lawyers late last week. There had to be a hastily arranged hearing this morning, which, as I indicated, I observed online. And just so you get a flavor for what happened, I took notes. It was quite a remarkable, demonstration of, Zionist propaganda and dishonesty, frankly. So let me just pull up my notes here. The first person to speak was my colleague, Shane Martinez, on behalf of the International Center for Justice in Palestine, ICJP. Shane told the court that the application for the injunction was baseless. It was full of bald assertions, anti-Palestinian tropes, demonstrable falsehoods aimed at ICJP and other organizations in Toronto that supported the flag raising. He said the claims were outrageous, sensational, and deeply unserious. The applicant Tafsik called the Palestinian flag the flag of hatred, for which it gave no supporting evidence, and they made very baseless allegations of anti-Semitism. Then a lawyer from the Muslim community, Nusayfa Al-Azan, argued that the flag raising poses no security risk. The application was full of anti-Palestinian racism and Islamophobic tropes. And she argued, I thought quite persuasively, that Tafsik's claims were contrary to the Ontario Human Rights Code. Then came the counsel for Tafsik, Jacqueline Lewis. Her main argument was that Mark Carney's government has only conditionally recognized Palestine as a state. And then she repeated the conditions which the Canadian government attached to recognition, one of which was Hamas had to be removed from power and disarmed, and there had to be elections and so forth. The problem is that in the record before the court, there was a statement from Global Affairs Canada, effectively the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Well, Global Affairs Canada encompasses the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, and they provided a statement that the recognition of Palestine is effective now. So all of the public commentary by Carney that preceded that declaration was essentially irrelevant. It is effective. And in any case, even if it wasn't effective, why should that bar the city of Toronto from raising the Palestinian flag when the vast majority of countries in this world already and many years ago recognized the state of Palestine, and when Israel is in the process of carrying out a genocide against the Palestinian people? So from my perspective, even if her argument was correct, that the conditions to Canadian recognition of the state of Palestine had not been fulfilled, her position was complete bullshit, frankly. Now, she said, again, she repeated that ICJP is associated with groups that are hate-linked. Again, didn't provide any evidence whatsoever to support that scurrilous accusation. And the judge, in fact, asked, what evidence do I have that any of those groups are hate-mongering groups? And in response, Jacqueline Lewis, the lawyer for Tafsik, simply said that in Epstein's affidavit, he does allude to the evidence without actually saying where in the affidavit he alluded to it. She also claimed, Lewis, that numerous towns and cities had revised their flag-raising policies in response to requests for the raising of the Palestinian flag. She referred to one of the interveners as a fringe Jewish group. I believe she was talking about the excellent Independent Jewish Voices Canada. She said the applicant, namely Tafsik, does not take issue with the right of Palestinians to live in peace and self-determination. I mean, that's just a bald-faced lie, in my view. Tafsik most definitely opposes the Palestinian right to self-determination and doesn't actually believe, in my view, that they deserve to live in peace, the Palestinian people. And she went on and talked about the shameful incident at TMU, claiming that an Israeli soldier was harmed. That's what she told the court. Now, you just saw the video. Did it look to you like he was receiving harm or that he was inflicting harm? And she claimed that the harm was, in fact, perpetrated by these women, these young peaceful protesters who were simply chanting Free Palestine at this disgraceful event. She said that Lewis told the judge that the flag of Palestine is routinely held alongside the flag of Hamas and Hezbollah at protests in Canada. And she effectively purported to speak on behalf of the Jewish people, saying that the bearing of the Palestinian flag in their community was scary. That's the word that she used. And she even said that the Palestinian Charter, whatever that is, I have no idea what she's talking about, calls for the eradication of the Jewish people. So in any case, all of that lasted 45 minutes. It had to be done in a very expedited manner because the flag was scheduled to be raised at 9 a.m. That didn't happen at 9 a.m. It's now 11:05 a.m. and it just happened a few minutes ago. It had to be delayed so that the judge could issue his decision. And in fact, he issued his decision, a very brief one. I'll put it up on the screen here. And you'll see that at the very bottom, he's going to explain his decision later, he said, reasons to follow. But in order to, just communicate to the city what they could and could not do, he put out a one-sentence endorsement. The motion brought by the applicants for an interlocutory injunction restraining the respondent from raising the flag of the state of Palestine at Toronto City Hall on November 17th, 2025 is dismissed for reasons to follow. So justice does prevail from time to time, even in the context of Palestinian human rights in this country. And in fact, I'm not at all surprised that the judge rendered this decision. It was clearly the correct decision, and I commend the judge for getting it right. Uh, you know, and this is not the first time by any means that courts have gotten it right in this country. And I think that the Palestinian people get a much fairer shake in the courts of law than they do in the court of public opinion in Canada, or at least have historically. And the reason for this is very simple. And it's not that the judges of the courts in Canada are, you know, unusually pro-Palestinian relative to the overall population. I think if anything, in my experience, judges tend to be more conservative than the general population, more right-leaning than the general population. I've never encountered anybody on the bench that I would have regarded as a left-wing radical. I have encountered people on the bench that I would have, that I do regard as being quite right-wing in their political and economic perspective. But nonetheless, as I say, Palestinians have tended to get fairer treatment in the courts than they do by, for example, the political elites or the mainstream media, the corporate media in this country. And I think the reason for that is very simple, and that is, you know, you have to play by certain, you know, strict rules when you're in courts. You have to file if you want to, you know, persuade a court to grant you a remedy. You have to put in sworn testimony, and the court will scrutinize that sworn testimony carefully. I think that probably happened here. And you can't just walk into a courtroom and lie through your teeth without any consequences. You can't, you know, make claims without being subjected to any meaningful form of interrogation. Generally in litigation in Canada, when people swear affidavits, they're subjected to cross-examination in or out of court, which takes place under oath. And if you're found to have committed perjury, you can go to jail in this country. So that's why, in my opinion, it's not about the politics of the courtroom. It's that you have to play by certain strict and sensible rules when you're in a court of law that you don't have to observe, sadly, when you are just talking out of your ass as a politician, or, you know, you're writing some, you know, pro-Israel article for some corporate media outlet in Canada. You're not held to the same standard, frankly. So at the end of the day, justice was done. We are, you know, pleased to have been there to witness this outcome, if only from a distance here in Montreal. And, you know, let us hope that this symbolic but significant victory for the Palestinian cause continues to move the dial in this country in terms of public opinion. There is a massive shift in public opinion taking place in favor of the victims of Israel's crimes, the Palestinian people. And as James mentioned, that shift is reflected very much in what happened today at Toronto City Hall. This is Dimitri Lascaris signing off on November 17th, 2025 for Reason to Resist.